Hey guys, it's ViewMasters Reactions, and we're back with Campaign 2, Episode 31, Talks Machina. The way it ended, Episode 31 on the live stream, was Tal'dorei, aka Mr. Clay, made a bunch of potions. We found out he is proficient in herbalism. He can now make us potions, greater potions I believe he made, but he can make potions for half the cost. I don't know if that's on everything. I think they said it was. Regardless, he's helpful in many ways. We are now heading towards the Menagerie Coast, mainly trying to help Ford out with his quest. We figured that is a priority, I guess, but either way, we're heading that way. We are going back through Allfield and Tristanwald, through possibly the, what was it, something, the Wuyan Gorge and the Gate or something like that. I'm content with where we're going here. There was something else I feel like I wanted to tap in on, and I don't remember what it was. Oh, Jester, in her typical sense of humor, wrote Yasha a letter, wasted a lot of words, but it was funny, and Yasha got word, knows where we are in case she needs to find us. I think we just jump in. Let's see what they have to say about this. We'll see where we go from there. You guys want to see more of what I do? Full unedited episodes, all the shows on the channel, seasons out of what you're seeing, hundreds of exclusives you only see on Patreon. The link is at the end. Dozens of shows you'll never see on YouTube. I just don't have time to edit it all. Doctor Who, Person of Interest, at least an hour in full unedited of this every week. Steven Universe, other shows just started. Check it out. If not, Campaign 2, Episode 31, Talks Machina. Over an hour, and then after hours, Talks, Alpha Talk is 25 minutes.
I'm back here now.
It's a lot for Talks.
Like mix it up a little, right?
Mix it
fresh.
up. I don't want anything
Whoa,
in my body to fall
Matt
asleep,
is tan.
except for my mind.
Matt Mercer
need to
is
fall asleep
super
in your
tan.
Yeah. I sometimes fall asleep with things in my body. Well, let's start the show, shall we? We have some crit roll stats for episode 31.
All right.
These come to us from our friends.
Crit roll stats.
Crit roll stats.
Yeah. Hi, guys.
I was going to
hi,
say,
guys.
isn't it just that?
The Mighty Nine spent 4,047 gold and 2 silver, plus the cost of the Dust of Deliciousness and the Straw Hat in their downtime shopping.
Damn.
That's crazy.
I said it was upwards
Yeah.
of 3,000 to
Look,
4,000.
like,
but I wasn't sure where. That's actually
reach a certain
higher
point
than
in
my high
campaign
end.
where you give your players a dragon horde and money doesn't become an object for a while.
If I thought more about
the
it,
last campaign at a certain point where they just had all the money and they're like, expense it, basically.
Yeah.
So I'm really relishing in these lower levels where it's like careful spending and who knew, like low level economy and
Yeah.
it's not as thrilling necessarily.
damn,
but we're having a
he
good time.
is
Yeah.
the darkest I've ever seen him. He
That
looks
was one
super,
of the
super
funner
tan.
shopping episodes.
I think
will
so.
admit that was.
And Travis kicks and screams every time, but he loves it.
He loves it. He's got an
Does
image.
he?
You have questions about that, Danny?
I have many questions about whether or not Travis loves shopping.
So you think it's sort of just
Travis,
become
I
on
did
brand
say,
for
was
him
the
now to
least
hate on the
talkative,
shopping
but I thought it
episodes,
was
but in
because
reality, he's warmed up to them.
of
No.
the fact that he had an alternate
I think
agenda.
100% that he hates it.
No,
Oh.
he does actually 100% hate them.
I get the feeling.
Everyone's saying it's 100%.
No,
Despises
well, he
it.
just, yeah.
Yeah.
I think he's been taken shopping by Laura enough where that's just kind of imprinted itself on any of his experiences with shopping.
Yeah.
We've been shopping with Travis before in the same way. He's
I
very
have
much like the
had a
get in,
girlfriend
get it, get
or
out,
two
and so
that were
it's-
obsessed with shopping. Some of them
we're
don't
going,
ever want to shop, but
Based off his character,
two of my
like,
girlfriends in the
Ren
past
Fair, right, in and
were
out.
obsessed with
As we
shopping.
talked about on our show
I
last
honestly
week,
didn't
we
mind.
told
I
the
found
story
other
of
ways to
him buying
occupy
the rare
myself.
coin.
It was better than other things.
Okay, what's the thing? He hates shopping unless it's for himself.
Exactly.
If it's other people shopping,
Yeah.
if it's having to wait around for other people, he's like,
Yeah.
fuck this.
Oh.
Oh man, when we go shopping for protein shakes.
So he's just very
takes his time.
impatient.
And here
Oh
come the
my God,
texts.
you hear that one? Brian giving
The
jabs.
Mighty Nine's
I think it's just that he's impatient and he doesn't like
3,000
to
roll. 3,000.
give a time to other
Was
people.
knots actually.
In a way, you know what I mean?
Discarded.
Like for silly
Nat 20
things.
dexterity save against
I mean,
the beam
I
of
get
force.
it. There's nothing wrong
I
with
think
that.
that's because he realized he didn't
it
have
in my next
advantage.
drink.
Was that the one where he realized he didn't have advantage on it and then had to retcon that?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, yeah, that was probably it.
Yeah, because it wasn't
Yeah.
a deck save.
Yeah, that's right.
He
it
tried
was
to use the
it was
cloak
on
of
dex but not
Valentine.
saving throws.
Sorry,
Yeah.
buddy.
Yes.
At least he was honest about it for the first time since the program began.
It's true.
Matt looks
Jester
good.
cast 8
Matt
out
has
of her available 10 spell
nice
slots,
tan.
and both
I noticed
uses
he
of
didn't have
channel
his vest
divinity
on,
in her
and I got a
pranking
nice
and
shirt on.
subsequent
I like
escape.
Matt looks good today.
I was-
They both look lovely. Both look
I
lovely.
was like,
Amazing.
how many spells are you gonna dump on this thing?
Burn them all.
Burn them all.
That
So
and the writing the letter to Yasha just killed me. Like
Yeah.
I was bent over. I was laughing so
Yeah.
hard.
Yes, that was
Man.
But she
that was
spent like
one of the
3
better
first-level
ones.
message spells. To
Yes. Sorry, I got cut
I
off
forget
there.
exactly what it
She's the-
was.
she's the
I feel like
person
we
who
only
calls
used
on your
2, but it
voicemail, like, 3
probably
times.
should have been 3 if it wasn't.
Exactly. Sorry, I got cut off. It's
Sorry,
fine.
I got
Think
cut
about
off.
that. Yeah, they cut me off at 5 minutes.
Anyway, yeah.
Yeah.
Forgot about that. Oh my god.
My sister leaves those kind of voicemails.
I did not forget
She'll
that.
tell me
It
everything
was
she would have told
specifically
me
one of
if
my
we had
points.
talked for an hour. on
Actually, I
voicemail.
technically did
And
forget
I
about it
love
because I paused.
If
in the
she's
beginning.
watching tonight, I love those. Matt, yes, save us from my family tragedy with an answer to this first question from Ken Fagan.
Yes.
When you have episodes
Brian,
like these
you
where the
gotta
group
love him.
comes in prepared with things
Ken
they'd like to do
Fagan,
during
we've
a
seen
time
Ken
jump,
Fagan.
how do you prepare for that? Do you meet with them in advance to discuss stuff, or do you just let them do their own thing?
I mean, I try and have them give me an idea of what they're plotting in advance. Like I send a text to everybody, been like, "Hey guys, in advance of Thursday, give me like a general idea of the kind of things you want to accomplish, so at least I can prepare for them a bit, you know, because." I mean, it doesn't ruin the narrative for me to have a little heads up in this scenario. It's
Yeah.
meant to be like a period of time that we can spend on it, and I want to make it worthwhile.
The camera
But
just did some
there's always
crazy
shit they're going
zoom
to do
out
they forgot
thing.
to mention, or in the spot they came up with, or like Sam, he'll send me
that or I'm
his,
just really drunk.
his list of ideas.
My brother just
5 minutes
left.
before
He
we go to
visited for
air,
the week,
in which
and
I
we
say this
drank all
is
week.
no use to me whatsoever. But
Yeah.
thank you, man. We'll wing it.
The
So,
lid
yeah.
is full at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I try and work with them a little bit and get a little bit of an idea, but not fully defined, just so I can be prepared.
Do you ever have to tell people some of the stuff they have planned isn't going to work in 2 weeks? Like if, you know, Marisha texts in and says, I want to go shopping, and Liam texts in and says, you know, I want to buy some paper, and then Travis writes in and says, I want to overthrow the government in the next 2 weeks. Like,
I will. I'll step in, which I did when Travis said he wanted to ride a horse down
yeah,
to the Menagerie
south.
Coast. I was like, okay, well, that's going to take a while. And you'll be by yourself. And he goes, all right, cool. I'm like, okay. You're probably not going to make it back in 2 weeks. He's like, oh, right. And then we get to the show, and then he does it anyway. And I'm like, all right, well, that's your 2 weeks, man.
yeah.
You rode to a point and went, I should turn around, and then rode back. And, well, that's your break, I guess.
Yeah. Rode into the desert on a horse.
That's
with
even
no
more
legs.
interesting. We said
My
how.
favorite lyrics.
I mean, hey, I guess it was
rolling the horse at
the
the-
luck of the
rolling desert
roll.
at that point?
Because
Yeah,
Matt
it
is
was
literally
rolling
saying
while I
we
was
had to
in the
talk
desert
about it, and I said
on a
you're going to
horse.
waste your time, basically.
There we go.
Although,
Like-
if I guess if Ford
No,
rolled
I had
really
legs,
good,
the horse
Travis
didn't,
rolls like
Marisha.
20,
Listen,
maybe he could have
save us
made
from
it or
this
found
nuanced
out
humor.
something. That's a hell of a risk, though. Matt's basically
Esteban
telling you.
Rodriguez asks,
bad
Marisha, how
choice.
did Beau like her training with the halfling monk? Do you think she would come to him more often for
I
certain
would
types of training or
Take whatever
advice
Matt
in the
tells
future?
me to heart.
She enjoyed him. I don't know if he was her flavor.
Can be taken a few ways.
Tubo, the training halfling monk.
Continue.
If people's minds were there, Matt.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're referring to.
I don't either.
In my head, when I thought I might encounter Dyron, I had other things that I was going to
Isn't it
do, that I wanted
Doron?
to tell her, that I wanted to tell her
Dyron.
about
Is
things
it
that had
Dyron?
happened.
Doron?
But when it was this guy, I was like, well, okay.
Dyron. Yeah, it is Dyron.
I'll learn from you, I
Dyron.
guess.
Yeah.
And then I kind of like shelved the other stuff for now.
You know
But,
my word
interesting.
association.
Yeah, it was good.
how I
I
remember
personally
things.
am a believer that one should have many teachers and that one learns most from learning from several people. So I think that kind of maybe spills over into that, or I don't know. I think I'm just accepting of that.
What's-
I'm just
what's
like, yeah,
Marisha
sure,
drinking?
let's
I'm-
try.
I'm
See what I can
actually
get from
curious.
you.
It's
So
not
it was
a
very
pun.
beneficial.
Even though I'm
He
drinking
taught
beer.
me a ton
Cheers.
of stuff.
But I'm just curious what she's
But,
drinking. It looks like coffee,
that
like
doesn't
iced
mean I trust
coffee,
him.
maybe.
Yeah, it makes sense. But where'd that come from?
That
you
philosophy?
said that, yeah, you believe that in real life too.
I
Real
do.
life. But I
I
mean,
had-
like outside the game.
I
you know.
had both acting teachers and
That's an interesting choice with the two of them.
I've had several teachers both
trying
through
to
like
think of-
acting and martial arts and
I
dance
guess it's a good
who
time for
all
Matt.
have. I feel like the good ones will tell you that.
I feel like Beau had
And
the
they'll be
best
like,
experience
Yeah, I love being your coach.
of everybody.
You should also still go take this workshop from this guy though, or
Yeah.
you should go and do this, and you should go and do that.
Diversify your experience.
You should, right, and because
Very
most
similar
people
to
will
martial
teach
arts
something.
disciplines I took.
one person
took-
doesn't
I've
teach
taken.
everything.
Yeah.
And each person's
try to
experience will learn
correct my
something
grammar
new,
from
and
time
you
to
can
time.
learn the most that way. So
I would get pointed
Weird,
to different
'cause I was
people.
raised to
You look like you're more
believe that
interested in
having
this. You should go
multiple
check out
probation
this.
officers at a
Like
time
guys
was
would
not
actually like
necessarily a good thing,
refer
but
me to other
I
schools and
like where your
stuff.
mind's at, though.
Well, it's good to know you have a few guardian angels.
I do, yeah, I do. Watching me so closely.
I would basically
Like
tell people,
three
this
over
is what
there.
I'm interested
Yeah.
in.
Hey,
I want
guys.
to throw, or I want to grapple, or I want to do this, but I want to be
One of them's not
like
feeling
kind of
well
like a
from the salmon
jujitsu,
earlier.
blah 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 blah. I took a little bit of
Emperor
everything,
Riptide.
but
There was
people would point you in the
and
direction
Yeah, you missed
if
that.
they
I missed it. Shit.
Well, it
saw
wasn't
you
good
had
anymore.
abilities or
Emperor Riptide asks, Matt, do you ever
Skills,
try
so
to
to speak.
balance the karmic scales for players when they try to do something cool during downtime and the dice just refuse to work with them, like we were talking about with Ford's failed
Emperor
walkabout?
Riptide.
Or do you just let the dice fall where they may and move on?
I gauge the player's level of having fun. If I can sense the player is really genuinely frustrated and not having a good time, I'll try and offer the opportunity for them to at least accomplish something.
Travis is excluded from that, though, because
Yeah.
you already know he's going to have a terrible time.
Well, no.
Travis.
he accomplished
I feel like Travis is the
Travis
butt
is
of a
also
lot
a
of jokes
player
with
that I
Brian,
don't
which
feel like I
makes
have to
me
cater
feel
to
like
his
he's
good
got a
time
better
because he's very good
relationship.
about
I mean, I'm sure
understanding
they're all
Yeah.
solid.
appreciating
But I
when
feel like
things
the
go
more you
well
make
or
fun
not.
of a
Yeah.
friend, the better friends
He's
you are.
very much that kind of even keel. I accept when things fail and appreciate when they don't, and appreciate when they don't as well. Sometimes if it makes for a fun narrative thing, but if I can sense the player genuinely is really excited about something and it fails, I'll find some way to give them, an uptick of positivity, or even if you failed at the main goal you're trying to attempt, you'll still gain something from it.
See, in my mind, that's a good
we
DM.
got a little bit of information.
Some people might
but
look at
also
it
knowing
like
the direction that they're tending to go.
favoritism or
Don't worry, we're planning
catering
forward
to the
coming
player,
up because
maybe.
they're going to the Menagerie Coast.
But you
and-
kinda
and,
want to
we're
make
now
your
delving
players
into Ford and
have
Jester
hope.
home turf territory. So
Awesome.
it's going to be interesting.
Fjord.
Yeah.
Fjord,
You mean
Fjorgen
Fjord?
Fjords.
One thing I
Jurgen
really love about
Fjord.
this
That's
campaign
what I always think
is
of. I think they do
everyone's
too.
getting to
Wings
see
for
a completely
two.
different side of Travis.
Yeah.
Because Grog was amazing, but it's like going from playing Drax to Aquaman. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah.
I hope
right?
the volume wasn't.
Yeah.
Kinda. I mean, fuck this current iteration of
Yeah,
Aquaman.
comic-
Like that's not what I'm talking
Right,
about.
okay.
Man, yeah.
But yeah, you get to see.
Aquaman?
Huh?
You mean Aquaman?
Aquaman.
Aquaman.
Only Danny would have coined the phrase so
Aquaman.
iconic as Hotquaman. Oh, Danny.
Aquaman.
This is why we have you. And
I
this
think
is
I
why
think
we
I thought
have
she was saying
Danny Kid.
Aquaman.
Hot Aquaman sounds like a
Aquaman. It's
hot
hot
water heater brand.
Aquaman. Danny, you gotta love Danny.
yeah.
I did see in the beginning they had like a
Strippers that
Danny
are
cam
plumbers
thing
that
going
can
on
do
when I was
that.
trying to find the start.
Just start like.
I don't know what they were doing. Oh, maybe they were just saying how Danny Cam was broke last time. Because the Danny Cam was broke last week, I believe.
Well, we're off to a good start. We should
think
start
so.
pretty
It's
soon.
always a great
I should be
start.
dressed for that.
You should
I am
dress for
always
the show,
loving
man.
these.
No, you
These
look
are
so
great. I
comfortable.
said I have a
Before
few
we went live,
beers.
I was like,
We
oh,
chat.
I'm jealous.
We all
You look so
relax and
comfortable.
I
chill.
decided today. I was like, it's been such a crazy
Sometimes there's a situation.
years. I don't know. These past few
a
weeks.
decade?
Yeah, no. These past few weeks have been kind of nuts. So today I was like, no, you know what? I've earned a comfy day. at
You
Talks, I
have,
think.
God damn it.
You know,
I've
have-
heard two.
I think
Wegmans now
there's
makes
nothing wrong with a grown man
basically
showing up to
their own
work wearing his
version of
pajamas.
Hint water.
Not in this day and age.
Well, that's very wrong. In a
not-
lot of careers, it's a
Not
very,
in- I was
very
gonna say,
terrible
not
thing
in
to
this
do.
industry.
Yeah, but you don't
but
want to do it. Say if
don't-
you're in the, if you're a postman,
Right.
or
Yeah.
woman or person.
Well,
Or if you work in like
Hey, y'all, wait
construction,
a
you
minute.
probably don't want to.
Yeah.
Astronauts.
Yeah.
Astronauts. Yeah. That's
Maybe
a
it's
good
Pretty
like-
one.
much any other profession.
I just am
if
curious
growing
about
out facial
things,
hair
guys.
to
That's
match
why
this
I'm
outfit,
wondering. It
People
looks
either
like root
assume
beer,
that I'm living on the street
some
again,
kind of soda, maybe
or
Coke.
I am a multi-billionaire. There's like
Yeah.
no in between. You go.
Yeah.
This like the spectrum goes from one tail end
Yeah.
to the other.
I
Or
feel Matt.
if you
I'm
had
kind of the
beard
same
you're
way.
saying, yeah, too handsome to be Santa Claus. That's what I would have said.
I like that you kind of regretted it halfway through.
Listen, that's how I feel about my life right now. I'm regretting it halfway through.
Halfway through. How old is
Marisha.
I guess he's
Yeah.
around. All
Help
right.
us forget our regrets with an
My
answer to this question from
apologies. I
Cyberwolf
drank a lot,
1201.
and I'm burping.
Which part of the Cobalt Soul montage was your favorite, and what new skills are you most excited to use in the battles to come?
I would say the last part with catching the arrows. What do you say, Beau?
Excellent question.
Gotta be the end. Catching
I think
all
the
three
extra
arrows.
reactions was probably pretty awesome of me catching all of the arrows. I
Boom.
really liked that. I also just
I mean,
really
how could you beat
appreciated
that?
the visual of being super amped to go kick ass, and then him being like, "Now we're going to read."
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, how could you
Fuck, and
beat
I
the
imagine
arrows?
Bowen being
Catch
like,
all 3,
"Ugh."
barely take
Yeah.
And then
damage,
that
2
visual of,
damage,
like,
1
running
from
into
each, and
Caleb
1
in the
nothing.
library.
Rage reading.
Quality.
Rage
Best
reading.
of the
Yeah.
episode.
Rage
Bo.
reading.
I would like
Most
to
pro-
read.
progress
Yeah, I think those
most
were
progress.
my 2 favorites.
and most
Coming soon
entertaining.
on a t-shirt.
I would like
My
to
character
read.
by far. I'd be a
like to
freaking monk.
read.
At this
Oh,
point,
boy.
now that I see what
Probably
people
holding the
do,
letter G
I
going.
thought barbarian at first. I think I'd be a monk.
That's I wish I could read.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
9th level spell.
Yep. Yep.
My thing, because
Some
like
of the most
personally,
endearing
now
moments
granted,
towards
if I
the
was
end
doing a
of the
D&D
last
campaign, I'd
campaign,
probably
though,
pick
were
something
involved
outside
reading, no
the
spoilers.
realm of what I
shit.
know and like, because I want to be something different. I feel.
I'm so in love
Maybe
with the new
not at
campaign
first,
that
though.
where it's going. The characters
I'd
are
be
so
a
unique and
badass
diverse
fighting monk.
and convoluted and detailed. But every now and then we'll just stop and be like, man, I miss Vox Machina too.
Yeah.
They were such a big part of our life, which is why I'm glad that at least we still get to explore them in like the comics and everything.
Sometimes
yeah.
they lean and slouch.
Fascinating
That's why I always look
seeing
at the camera. Like I'll go
The
like this
different
and like
reactions
I'm
of
very
people
bad with my posture.
reflecting on Keyleth in hindsight.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's been pretty interesting.
Some people now seeing Beau and realizing, oh, she's not identical to her make-believe character in every single way.
Right.
Yeah, and then some people being like, I understand and can appreciate this character more. And then some people being like, man, after seeing Beau, just really still hate Keyleth.
Yeah.
You can't please
It's like
everybody.
fascinating to see.
It's
But
funny
yeah,
because
looking back, I'm
Keyleth
like, I think Keyleth was for some
was probably
people,
more towards
and it
the
was for
bottom of my
certain
list.
people.
And not every
of-
person's gonna like every character.
If I
you
ranked,
know? And that's just
nothing
how it
against
works.
her. She was great. I dig
Yeah,
the
hopefully
character. I
not.
dig the
Things
turning
really
into
did.
animals
I
and
mean,
stuff like that.
Teaches you a lot about yourself.
But
why
as
you don't
far
like
as
these
my
people.
likes and
Right, and
dislikes,
with this many
I feel like
players
Grog,
and this
Scanlan,
many great
Pike,
actors behind
all them were
those
higher.
characters,
Vex,
there
Vox,
would hopefully be
Vex,
things
Vox,
about
Vax,
a lot of the
Vax.
characters that you don't like and things that you do like. I mean, why else follow someone's journey? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
I
it's
would
from a
say
story
Vex.
perspective.
Well, some of my favorite reactions to the
it's
last
not
campaign
important, but
have also
Keyleth
been
was
about
towards the
Percy,
bottom.
how when the campaign started, many folks are like,
Nothing
I
against
don't
her.
even care about this character.
Yeah.
I don't get anything of it. And it wasn't until, you know, a little bit into that first campaign that there was the opportunity for really Taliesin to
Yeah.
dig into the personality and how easy that can shift. But that's how it works too. We're not all trying to fight for the spotlight. Not everyone's trying to force their backstory into the limelight. They'll let each person take the story as it's needed, and when the opportunity arises, step up and kind of see where it takes them. And I think that's part of why I really enjoyed playing with you guys as a group, as opposed to some of the groups I played with, you know, years ago. Is you guys are willing to step back and let each other have those moments as players and as characters.
You do have to have a nice
not always the
balance.
case.
You
There's
can't have
certainly
somebody
guys out there
being
who
like
can
the alpha
create.
dog
Yeah,
all
that
the
is
time. It's
something that I think
unfair.
is
That
super
people
unique
eventually
to this
like
group of
not
people.
want to
And
do
I
it. Like
think a lot of
Ford.
that comes from
Ford looks like
everyone's
the
voice
alpha
acting
dog, but
background,
he
too,
always
because
lets
you're
people
so used
take
to
the reins.
having to
Go
work
first.
together
He
and
waits his
sometimes
turn.
multiple people in the same session.
Well,
and
theater
do
a
that
lot,
stuff.
too.
And theater,
There's a lot of-
exactly.
Improv experience.
Yeah.
It all kind of overlaps.
Yeah,
into,
learning not to upstage and to listen, because as good as you think you are as a performer, you can only really benefit from listening to your other performers and trying to engage in that scene when it's your time. And so it's very much a give and take skill set that you learn through a lot of performing arts.
Yeah, and it's like
yeah.
sensing when to end a scene, and
Yeah.
at the end of the day, we're an ensemble cast, as they would call it in the industry, which is
An ensemble
well,
cast.
it's true.
I know.
But they're
No, she's right. She's
you know,
right.
ensemble casts
It was
are
just that
notoriously
she
the most
made it a point
difficult
to make it like
write
when she said ensemble, we laughed.
Trying to balance
You made a
Balance
joke, kind
everybody.
of.
Yeah.
and not having like one or two
Major protagonists that
main-
come through.
Correct.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and now we're improving it, so that's funsies.
That's why D&D is such
What's
a,
her necklace?
a fun way
I
of,
dig
of
it.
telling
Is it
stories
green
together,
or is
and why
my
it doesn't
eyes
translate
playing
too well
tricks?
to other forms of media.
Looks like some kind
is
of
because
like
you don't have that
stone
one
or
or two
ring or
major
something.
protagonists.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
the color, whatever it is. It looks
Interestingly
greenish
enough,
from here.
too, thinking about sharing backstories and everything, there's also got to be a little bit at the table of, oh, thank God they're going with their backstory, because I have still so much shit to figure out and like to write out. You know
I'm
what I
sure,
mean?
yeah.
There's got to be some of that going on too. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, just like, I don't know when shit's gonna come up.
Yeah.
And when it's appropriate to talk about things.
Yeah.
And you also never want to be like, well, you didn't ask, but.
Yeah.
Yeah, that happens a lot in games.
I always pictured Taliesin's
I've said it many
notebook and his
times,
notes
but
on
Matt
his
and Marisha
characters
go
always
together
having
very
the
well.
weirdest stuff.
You can even see when he
And so
looks
I
at
can
her, he
picture
gave a
him
little
sitting
smile.
there at the
You can
table
tell
all
when
those
people
weeks
are
ago
truly
when
in
the
love
first
and
time
stuff.
Travis, like,
He
consumed
like
the
looks at
sword
her
and him going
like,
fuck, I have
there's
this thing where I was going to consume a sword, you know?
You can
and
say. They're good. I like it. I'm happy for
happens
them.
on the thing. Talison's already like, shit. Well, now I got to come up with something else because I also have
Matt
that written
also,
down. Like,
I was just saying how I love his look.
exactly.
He looks like he's in
Yep.
some
That's really
comfy
funny.
The
pajamas.
Simpsons of character
I dig
backstories.
it.
Yeah,
I also
pretty
dig that
much.
shirt.
Simpsons did it. I don't know.
What's that shirt?
Oh man.
Well, but like there's been some players that are so
like some kind
eager
of
to try and get their
dragon on it.
backstory out there. I've had games where someone will be like, all right, guys, you want to go ahead and get an ale at a tavern? And someone's like, a tavern? Well, my parents own a tavern. That tavern burned down when the demon armies came and destroyed me. They're trying to hunt me down because I'm a half demon blood. Thank you for asking. And my party's like,
Everyone's like,
Okay.
so
all right, man.
Did you want to get a drink? I'm not really sure if that
Drinks
was
still
answered in
on?
the middle
All right,
there.
cool.
Yeah. Oh my god. Just spill the whole thing. You know, it was a
That's
night like
Mike
this.
spiked for a second. That's like one of the first times I ever heard one of their mics
Dude, we
spike.
just,
I wonder if he
just met you.
was
Like, come
weirdly
on,
adjusted.
man. Matt.
yes.
Frankelstein has a
Frankelstein.
question for you. Whatever happened to the Waste Hunter
Frankelstein.
blade? Is it gone because Ford consumed it, or did it come out of him when Ford consumed the Summer's Dance?
It is gone.
Wait, what?
Yeah. One of the
Wait. His sword?
the old sword.
His old one?
Yeah.
Is now gone?
Yeah.
Does Travis know that?
Yes, he does.
I'm sure he does.
Here's the thing. When he wanted to play a Hexblade class, and I was like, heck yeah, let's do it, I began to read into the lore of the Hexblade. And I love a lot of the design aspects of its lore, and that you have your powers from your patron are bound to a magical weapon of some kind, whether it be a sentient weapon, which is what they recommend, or it's some sort of a gift given to the Raven Queen through this weapon. We wanted to try and diverge from the provided lore, but also in a game where you're constantly upgrading equipment and weapons, especially if you're more of a combat-based class like the Hexblade, if your class is so tied to a specific weapon, it's hard for me to consider ways where narratively you would just upgrade it away in the first few levels, and now that weapon that's so important, key to your class, just gets thrown or sold.
Yeah. Like the lightsaber at the beginning of Return of the
basically.
Jedi.
Yeah.
So I was
Force
thinking about a way
Awakens.
to fix that, and my way was considering with some of the story elements was to make an element of his relationship with his patron that the falchion that he was bound to is a constant through his adventure. And when he consumes a weapon,
It adds
the
to it.
enchantment subsists and is then transferred to the falchion, but whatever weapon that enchantment was carried is destroyed in the process. So he gets benefits to it because many different types of enchantments from many different weapons can all be attributed to this falchion, which is his core character, weapon stat and everything. So that's pretty cool, and he gets to summon it at will, like as part of just the narrative flair of it. But it does end up destroying whatever item he leaves behind if he takes on a new enchantment. So that's part of the,
All right, I
the
mean,
balance
I
and
kind
the
of,
narrative.
I wasn't
thread
sure
built
if that
into
was
it.
the case,
it
but
makes
to me
sense.
it
I hope
makes
so.
the most
Yeah.
sense. And
You can
honestly,
only swallow so many swords before
you can only swallow so many
There's
swords.
so much room in there.
I
man.
just assumed that's what was happening,
Choose
or
eventually,
that
if, you
if
find another
anything,
cool
it's a
sword to let his memento of Molly go.
Oh, don't think I haven't thought of that.
It's so sad.
Why you gotta bring the sadness, Dan?
Because that's
yeah.
what I'm here for.
Good job, Danny. I dig the thought process. I didn't think of it like that.
Yeah.
It's almost like he might hold on longer
Octaviani
because when he gives up Summer's Dance.
I might have done well with that one.
Sure. Ah, you know that I don't even
I'll
want to
find out
speak
later.
it.
What were Beau's thoughts when it was discovered
my God.
that Ford ghosted on the party during the 2 weeks? Did she even register
see
it
my
at
shirt?
all, or was she concerned for him due to
I
his
thought this was
recent
Molly
trauma?
shirt. I'm not even
Ooh,
kidding.
That's an interesting question.
Those of you who made it this far,
Nah.
I literally thought I put on Molly's shirt till just now. That's how much I was
Rescind
looking
my
at my
statement.
actual shirt.
I think
I told you. My brother visited for 3
think
days.
she's a little
We
bit
drink excessively.
worried. Like that crossed my brain of like that. I think I said on air. I was like, "You going for a little walkabout?"
Yeah.
But
Walkabout.
that's also,
Lost.
I think, what kind
Makes
of
me wanna
Beau would
watch
do. Be like,
Lost.
fucked in the head, need to go take a beach trip.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and she'd be like, cool, that'd be good for you. Okay, bye. Like,
Bye.
she's not gonna.
Fucking the head.
We're doing episode
Beach trip.
32 next, part 1. I'm going to wear
Yeah, that's a shirt.
my full
You know,
sleeve
so yeah, it
of
crossed her
armor
mind, and
that I
that's
bought.
kind of what I thought. I was like,
At
you
the
know,
Ren Fair.
but also in this party, we are not accustomed to people kind of coming and going, i.e., Yasha for starters, and kind of people having their own business. This party is still pretty aloof, so
Aloof.
yeah, I wasn't too concerned, and we'll probably pry later, but later.
My apologies. It
Yeah.
is
That's
great.
very
I can see it better now. I
What'd
like
you
it.
do?
I don't know what
but
it is,
she's
but I
not.
want
She
it.
wasn't gonna stop him.
Yeah. We'll talk about this more the next time Ashley's able to be on the show, but you guys
She might be drinking
figured
tea
out
because it looks like
how
thereed sediment in the
her
bottom
sort
of her glass, almost like she's drinking
exit after the
Yeah.
kidnapping was going to happen, right? Because she wasn't able to
I
come
know.
on.
It's the perpetual frustration of the shoot schedule. You know, so happy she has work. Not really.
Yeah. No, I'm ecstatic.
But no, like you know, it's the nature of filmmaking and television is schedules are very intense, especially. I guess you know her schedule is even more intense this season, and so it's just trying to prep and be prepared because I don't ever want to deny her to come into the game. Whenever she has the opportunity to play, I'll find a way to make it work because at the very core of it, it's just we want to play as friends.
Yeah.
So even if it's a bit of a narrative bend to make it work, you know, I had the divine form
This is completely
of
random.
Pike last.
But I'm still
campaign,
noticing
and
how
I'm
tan Matt
slowly
is.
figuring out a way of
And
doing it
Marisha
with
isn't
Yasha
as
here and
tan,
there,
so
but
either she wore a lot of
wanna find a way where
sunblock
she
or
doesn't
didn't
feel
go
like
with him
she's,
wherever he
you
went.
know, ruining the story by showing up last
interesting to
minute.
me.
Yeah, totally.
She must just be
So,
very
like, I really wanted her
fair-skinned.
there for the battle with Lorenzo.
This
I
is where
really
my
wanted a
mind
lot of
goes,
elements
guys,
here.
I'm
It just
sorry.
didn't work out. So when we got to that moment of the story and she couldn't be here, me and her had a long conversation via text where I was like, where is the Asha at with this? What is her emotional state? What would her reactions be? And wanted to basically just be a catalyst or a messenger for the performance she would have given.
Yeah.
So I worked with her extensively on that and wanted to hopefully, you know, do justice to what she would have done had she been here.
That was a fucking
cool.
beautiful moment.
Yeah.
And the
That's
art
all
that
her,
I've
man.
seen from that art is insane.
Oh, we didn't do
That was
gift
all
for the
her,
week or
like
anything
that-
yet.
that-
We got to be
like,
hitting gift for the
going to the
week.
grave and everything.
For the most part, yeah.
Oh,
Like she
shit.
gave me a lot of detailed stuff and then I just took it and did my best to interpret it in the scene.
Man,
So that's Ashley.
that was a great
Oh,
moment. Yeah.
Matt, I love Matt's passion.
all right, one
He
more and
like
then we'll get to
actually
some
gets
free
emotional.
shit.
Free shit. I knew it was
Matt
coming.
Josei in
I don't know why I said
59
it that way,
asks, how do you decide which
Oh.
information to dole out during library
Maybe not yet.
sessions? Does it depend on the time spent and what you have prepared?
Just say
It
on
depends on what information would be available.
59.
And what I
He
do
didn't
is
go
I
with the
bullet point
typical 69.
information
He's
on
man of surprises. Or
obscurity.
woman of
So I'll
surprises.
usually have a number of bullet points on certain topics they might discover that would be pertinent to their adventures and their you know searching, and I scale them in difficulty. Oh. So I'll usually have like 4 or 5 different bullet points of information, and if they roll fair to average, I might give them the first one, maybe the first 2. If they roll pretty well, pardon me, I'll give them the third one, and if they roll really high, I'll give them the really obscure, kind of even stranger tidbits that'll, you know, really kind of make them go, oh shit.
Tidbitties.
Yeah.
So that's usually how I do it. That's if I'm prepared for it.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm not prepared for it, in which case I'm trying to do the same thing, but just based on in my head what I had thoughts on and, you know, interpret it in the moment, which is a very stressful thing sometimes, but
that's
it works out okay.
miraculous knowing that sometimes you don't have that planned out because you can't tell. When you're watching the show, it seems like you have all that lore.
I hope
and-
so, because
It totally
I don't feel
does.
like it. I feel the back of my neck get warm, and I'm like,
no,
oh, you learned that this sings about
No,
a
man.
thing. Oh,
No.
I'm so glad you made it.
I feel like that's typical.
research-oriented
I feel like
character,
most
Liam.
people feel that way for a given time. Some people just break out of it sooner. You just gotta not care. But it's hard. I mean, it's easier said than done. I used to be like that. I got to a point
researching characters that
where I
added
just
a lot to your
stopped
prep.
Not a lot
giving
to
a
it, but
shit.
I've definitely made sure to over-prepare at
like
moments because
I care about what I
expect them-
do, but I stopped
be
caring
like,
about
what
what
time
people
is it?
think and
Hey Matt,
say.
I have this ability where you
Every
tell
now
me
and then.
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
but
it's
you have a
everything.
lapse.
And I gotta go, oh, okay,
Yeah.
Liam, here's everything.
Right.
You know,
Right.
It's essentially Abed.
That's what I was
holding
waiting
out his tome of
for.
Notes.
Dramatic
The
Tidbits
second
at a
D&D
time
episode
from
of Community.
Caleb.
Oh yeah.
What if we want to go the other direction?
Yeah, when
Right.
David Cross is challenging him, like that's my retort.
Yeah.
But
So yeah.
doesn't part of you love that about
do.
your players though, because they're so involved
Of course,
in that way? Yeah.
I'm so excited they're engaged in that regard. You know, it's an additional challenge on me, but it's one that I've been wanting. I've had many campaigns where I've written a shit ton of lore, and the player's like, I don't care, I want to punch someone, and I'm like,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah.
Roll d20, you know, like so. For me, it's really exciting to have people that are interested and
All
engaged
right.
and are playing into that
I had
aspect
a
of their
great
character, because then
thing to tell you
then it
about,
gives
and you
that
just wanna
character a benefit that when they
fight
encounter
this
elements that
person,
might pertain to
fine.
that information down
Turd
the road, they can be
Ferguson.
the expert.
Yeah.
You know, and really, this is the first time in a campaign we had a really high intelligence character that was focusing on learning lore and history and hopefully using that to their advantage in the future. So
Yeah.
I'm happy to play to that, because that's one of the strengths of the character he built. And
Yeah.
I want to reward him for playing that properly.
Yeah, I agree. That and his hair are probably his two
That
best
too, both of them,
attributes. Yeah. I should dress up as Caleb for Halloween.
Oh, then
You're halfway there.
cute. Yeah.
You're already filthy.
halfway there.
Yeah.
Oh, I was not expecting that. But you're so goddamn
Yeah,
right.
I'm just saying.
You're so right.
Let's give away some free shit.
Yeah.
Free shit, giveaway.
Our first giveaway
He literally,
tonight
Matt
is
just
gift of the
totally
week.
insulted Brian, ruined his life. Brian's gonna go home and hate everything about everything in his, because he's married to
Our
Ashley
winner.
Johnson. He's got such a horrible life running his own show.
Campaign two
I mean, I don't know. If he's
was
still
sent
doing
in by
He's got his
Chris
own shit, you guys said in the
Learn
comments.
At Coin Op Think Tank.
Lean back into
Coin
your
Op
focus.
Think Tank.
There we go.
I got tons of coin operated
Steve is on
machines
it.
at the
Look at
arcade.
that.
Coin Op Think Tank, I like it.
Let's take a look.
Let's take a look.
It better be good.
Look at that.
Do a lot of go.
Oh my god.
This is great.
Reminds me of Mario or something. Nintendo with the question marks.
I'm so glad.
I met a ghost I didn't need a punch.
That's so good.
Isn't that great?
I dig it.
I love
I dig it.
so much. It's such a
I
unique
will be
different,
honest with you. I'm going to
like,
rank them.
personality to bring
I'm
to the
going to
table.
rank them
I didn't
all.
notice
That
he was deep in
doesn't
thought that
break
whole
my top
time.
five.
The whole
It was
time.
good.
I did not
It wasn't
notice
bad.
that.
Doesn't break my top
Yeah.
five.
Amazing.
Some of them are. That was
Amazing.
not
I
bad.
felt it coming.
But I have to
Oh,
rank
you
them
guys
in my
look over at him
mind.
just to see
And
if you
based
were
on what we've
engaged, he's
seen,
still
and I have a
going.
lot in my mind so far.
Like, oh no, I know where this
My
is
number
going.
one.
You're number one.
I'm not gonna go out that now. But that
Great gift.
good.
Congrats to you,
Still
Chris.
good.
You have
Great
won
gift.
this
Coin Op,
coveted
you have prevailed.
Critical Role
Critical Role
retro.
shirt. Congratulations.
This is one
You have
of
won.
my favorites that we've
I
ever put out.
approve,
This
even
one.
though I'm not
was-
anybody.
When I
choice.
see
I
people
approve.
wearing this, who am I pointing that to?
There you go,
Pointing
fast.
it to Steve. Max, do you have one of these?
I like the vintage
Okay.
fading.
Just saying. Sometimes, like,
Just saying.
seems like you wear the same clothes a lot, and if you wanted
I
some
love
more
that he
shirts,
always
you know,
goes
you
at
could
Max.
just ask. All right.
I would
sorry, Max.
love to
Always a
see them
chatterbox.
on a
Max
regular
James.
basis because I almost believe
Max
they
alone.
secretly
Hey, he likes it. He hates it.
see they play it
We
off
were
so
talking
well
about it
that
this
they
Friday
make
when they're
you
doing
think
their
they have a
AMA on
secret
Reddit.
rivalry.
Oh,
But I feel
guys,
like
the
everyone is
crew,
best
we
friends.
have that in the
AMA.
announcements.
Yes.
We have that in the
Guys,
announcements.
crew AMA this Friday. Danny, tell them what time.
2 o'clock? I think.
2
But
o'clock
Two?
Pacific.
Danny's
Daylight
on the
Time.
spot.
Yeah.
That's it's Danny Carr, the real Danny Carr, Max Jenga, Vinny Singh, our head of production.
Max Jenga.
Who else is coming? Chris Lockey.
Those 3.
Oh.
No, it's just those 3.
We always bring up this Chris Lockey guy, and I always think of
All the people that make
Olympic
these
swimmer.
shows
Lockey,
happen and make them what they are.
the,
really.
the Olympic
Or
swimmer.
be
I know
answering
it's
your
not him.
questions.
Ryan Lockey.
Folks.
That's
They
this
keep bringing
Friday
up
on
some.
Reddit, so
I
check
don't know
over
who he
to that
is. I
Critical
want to see him
Role
because I feel like I
There
must
are
have
many
seen him
other
in
amazing
something
folks
before.
behind the scenes that help
Tons.
make this show, but we can only fit a few of them into the AMA before it turns into absolute chaos. So.
We can't afford for all of them to become internet famous at the same time. We have to stagger it.
I
you
would
know?
love to
'Cause
one
we'll be
day
taking
get to
full
the
credit.
point where I
That's the
can
whole
meet
thing
these
with
people or
Danny
get
is,
on
you know, the
an
long
episode
game
of
here
a
is
show
that
that
someday
doesn't even
she'll
probably
become
exist
very
anymore.
rich. Take care of all of us.
Oh yeah, no, she's gonna be with us at the nursing home, right, Danny?
Yes.
Right, Danny?
Yeah.
Please, Danny.
100%.
Be with us at the
One of the
nursing home.
nice
I'm not going
ones.
anywhere, you guys. Y'all are gonna have to kick me out of here kicking and screaming
Show
for
off that
me to
bow you
leave.
got
And that
going
bow's
on,
so
Danny.
cute.
I want to
That's
see
so
Danny's
cute.
shirt. Danny is like blocking it for sure. What does it say?
Danny's little
In
D20
space,
Yeah.
no one will
Hey,
hear
funny
you
story about
scream.
this,
It's got to
Beau.
be that.
I
In
used to wear this
space.
lots and
I
lots
just feel
all
like
the
there's
time.
enough room on the side for
I
more.
wore it to SDCC the first time that I met the cast.
That's true.
And Marisha remembered it, and I lost it a year ago or so before I moved here. And then Marisha found hers and gave it to me because she missed me wearing this bow.
True. I wasn't wearing it. It was just sitting in my closet.
You gave her
After I
her
found-
own bow.
I did. It was a bow from Beau.
Yeah. Bows, bows.
A bow
Bows,
from Beau.
bows.
So many bows.
Hey.
Bow and arrows,
Getting
bows
more
in your
and more
hair,
complicated.
bows that kick ass and fight like
Two
monk
bow,
style.
training bow, in the bow,
Yeah.
bow.
Two bows. Two
I feel like Homer
one
Simpson in the
bow.
Moe episode. No, bow, bow, bow,
Oh
bow.
boy.
Good
Marisha,
times, yeah.
question from @_
I plan on killing all these
I think that's-
beverages
is that
before the night is
Andrea?
through.
That's Andrea.
I have a seltzer
Hey,
with an
Andrea.
energy drink.
Everyone
little
seems to
bit
have
of a Yingling
long-term
left.
personal goals, but
And
we
the
haven't
rest
heard
of
much
this
about Beau's. Without
Wegmans
spoiling
water.
anything, does she have something specific she's working toward? Have the goals she may have had changed in any way since meeting the Mighty Nine?
That's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, her goals
Underscore
have definitely changed.
towers.
And
Tours.
what's pertinent? She
Pertinent.
she has goals. I think Marisha is more aware of more meta goals in terms of character stuff
And then bow is directly.
than Beau is directly. But also I'm deeply waiting to see how the world is going to affect her, and it already has a lot. Keyleth was deeply long-term goal-oriented. Deeply.
True. Yeah,
And I kind of didn't want to do that again.
I don't blame you. Keyleth
This
seemed
character
too
is a little
organized
bit
and by the
more
book.
Flying by the seat of her pants, for
Beau
sure.
is definitely
Yeah.
by the
So,
seat of her
yeah,
pants.
I
I
have
dig
things
that.
in
Just a little
mind,
too much
but
sometimes.
Nothing in terms
But we'll get it
of
together. We'll pull it together.
Keyleth, where Keyleth was kind of fighting against her environment to still somehow maintain her path and to find herself along a destined path. And like Keyleth's whole thing was kind of playing with that idea of destiny and choice, and that as a dichotomy. Beau is a little bit more of an experiment on being a shit kicker and seeing what happens when you're tossed into this
That's
lifestyle.
kind of how I
been fascinating
see.
to
That's
watch
why I
Beau,
think I
who's
relate to
essentially
Beau
kinda
so
that-
much.
that,
That's how I live my life
big
most of
fish
the
in a small
time.
pond
I don't
type
take
youth
major
Yeah.
who
risks,
just, couldn't
but
deal with
I will throw myself into the
what
shit
she
to
perceived
learn
as
or
the
have
slights and
experience or
bullshit of
something
the,
like
the
that.
adults and the
Small town,
authority of the
yeah,
small
this-
town.
yeah.
She does
Yeah, Keyleth
sometimes.
was more
I
of a
think
small
goes
goldfish in a
too
huge
far
pond.
beyond the lines or the limits of what she
For the
should,
record,
based on
can
the
I just
the
give,
team
speaking
dynamic.
of
If she
this
was
is
by
kind of a bit of a
herself,
drug,
I mean,
a big
do
round of
whatever you
applause
want.
for Max and his fantastic Critical Role Land diorama.
Oh yeah, our
That is
drop cam today
amazing.
was absolutely
Where is it? I wanna see it.
fantastic.
Look at that, beautiful.
Max showed off, I would say, a tiny, tiny bit of his
Critical
creative
Role
genius here
Land?
compared to what. Oh
We planned it that way. We planned
Damn
it
it!
that way.
I'm not gonna go back
made a
and start from the
diorama?
top now that you walked back in the room.
However, we
watch
worked
the VOD.
Can I
We
see
were
it up
discussing
close?
the delight that this is kind of the baseline, and the next expansion of Critical Role Land has the Splat Mountain extension, where you get inside
Splat
the goldfish and then ride down for
Mountain.
1,000 feet.
Instead of Splash Mountain, one of my favorite rides of all time in Disney World.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Which is now, I heard,
There you go, right?
Yeah,
gone.
That's gonna be.
that's true.
Somebody told me
Second
Splash
Mountain.
Mountain's gone.
Yeah.
I haven't been to Disney World in
Oh man.
over a half a decade,
We
maybe
should open
longer.
a theme park.
Probably like 7 years.
First CritCon.
I designed it. You all said no.
Yeah.
It was
Well,
2000. It was probably 5 years.
It was hard to tell how
5,
expensive
6 years
it
ago,
was
I was
going
at
to be
Disney
based
World
on the
last
crayon.
time.
On that side, it's really inexpensive.
That's true. Yeah, that's just a couple of boxes and then some
Yeah, it's like
gold
60
cord.
bucks and we can have it done.
Yeah.
The thing
Take
about
a
Critical
weekend.
Role Land is that it's only built for actual critters. Like, not critters are fans, like mice and
Yeah,
squirrels.
how
like
cute.
rodents.
Yeah.
Rodents.
So that's how you save your costs. Critters from everywhere can come.
I've seen a lot of shit in my life. A mouse throwing up over the side of a roller coaster is not one of them. So I'm down.
Let us
I'm down.
change this path you
Let us
walked on,
change
Ryan.
your view of
Can
the
you imagine
world.
a mouse and a
The view of the world will be different.
writing it down?
Oh my god.
No.
No, here comes art.
Yeah.
Yep, there we go. It's the next one shot.
It's the what?
It's the next one shot.
It's the next one shot? Oh my god, yeah.
We had Honey Heist. Now it's
As
now
long
it's
as
Critical Role.
we don't have to bring out that goddamn fishing game ever again.
What are you talking about? It was so much fun for everyone
Until
but
it
you.
got to my turn,
Yep.
I had to do it with the bear glove on. It was taking an hour and a half. We
Fishing
should have
game.
sped that part up for the VOD, you know? Like,
I need to know about this
fast
fishing
forward
game.
it. Ugh.
What are they talking
Apologize to
about?
everyone for like repeatedly.
I almost feel
slamming
like
my
it's like a
lapel.
carnival
It's okay.
fishing
The
game.
sound guy left.
I'm gonna
I
move
heard him
around a
5
little
minutes
bit.
ago. He was like, fuck
Look,
this. I'm like,
I caught them.
Matt.
Yes.
Herkiavello
Herkiavello.
asks, was Beau's training montage a matter of convenient, elegant storytelling, or is Beau expected to spend a few
Herkiavello.
days with the Cobalt Soul for every new class feature? With
Or
time,
is it
would she learn she has
Herkiavello?
access to them herself, or
Yavello.
is it required that they are taught?
Honestly, it was more convenient storytelling. Leveling up in D&D, most classes, you don't want to have to require each person to have to go back to 10 and learn their abilities. It's a way to do it, and I have run games that ran that way a little bit, usually other RPG systems.
Cheers, my friends.
But for this circumstance, because we're doing milestone leveling, it was essentially after a big adventure, and they returned as a dash, and you already were in the proximity of the archive, and so it made sense.
I wanted something.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
that's a little bit my request.
and it makes sense for your character too, where she's
It made
she's
perfect
now
sense to
wanting
me.
be taught.
And
She wants to
honestly,
keep
I didn't think it
learning.
was
she's
fast.
hungry
I
to
thought
find
she
ways to
rolled
improve
good.
herself,
She
whether it
trained
be
well.
to show her superiors.
I
that
felt
she
like
could
it was
eventually be
all
better than
earned
them.
and deserved.
And to just be more, able to survive in a world that is not as easily surmounted as she maybe had expected, and so that allowed me the opportunity to build that scene. So I don't think I'd require it of her, but if the opportunity arises and aligns when she would have a major class, level up, and they were near an archive of some kind, I would want to include some element of that because it makes sense for the character, her narrative, and it's fun. It's fun to play out those little montage sequences.
Yeah.
It's like any classic martial arts movie where you get to watch
Yeah,
the up and comer,
exactly. With the
upgrade.
training.
I dig it. I mean,
Like, I kinda want
I've
someone
told you
to
guys
cut
before,
out
I
those
grew
sequences
up
from the last
with
episode
old
like a-
school,
Just
undubbed or subbed
Yeah.
martial arts movies. I would go to flea markets and just get like the most bootleg things, and I put them in. You could barely see what was going on, and it would be that.
I think it'll happen now.
That is literally what it was like. I'd pop in a movie and you could barely tell, and it was like Ong Bak with Tony Jaa or something. Ong Bak was one of the first bootlegs on DVD I can remember.
Successor to
It
the
was
D&D
so
Beyond theme, just
crappy
like
hand
cheesy
cam.
80s training theme.
Sam's
Yeah.
at home and he just broke his wine glass. He's like, damn you, Mercer.
There's
it's
like
my
36
job.
of them now.
The monk was really
I think there's
hard.
3, maybe
Needed
4.
all those stats. Well, let me add intelligence to make you all real at.
Man, it's just
Yes.
make it fun. Be good.
This is great.
It's good.
Are we
I dig that
recording any of
Marisha
this?
went along with it.
God, I hope not.
Great
Let's give away
duo.
some more free shit.
Singing
Let's
and
get
dancing.
two more
Free shit.
questions.
Pick of the
Our
week.
next giveaway is for you fans that create and send in incredible art for moments.
Pick
during
of the
Critical Roles.
week.
Fan art of the week.
Oh, what a pick of the week. Guys, I apologize for my insubordination.
This week's fan
I've
art
had a
winner
bit.
for episode 31 was sent
Fan
in
art
by
of the week.
Olivia
Pick of the
Heinz.
week. Gift of the
At
week.
Olivia Heinz. Let's take a look.
Let's take a look.
So
That piece.
Right?
good.
Yeah, that one was nuts.
I ain't kidding you. That makes top 5. That's top 5.
Oh my
All the drowned
God.
bodies.
That's a
and
top
they're
5.
Ford and
tangled.
Dockers,
The tentacles pulling him down, the purple with all the mermaids
That's part
and
of his long-term
mermen
character
or
goals
something,
to
or is that other
eventually
people
rediscover
getting
those
taken down?
Dockers.
That's other men, I think, getting taken down from the
growth.
ship.
So fucking beautiful.
I dig that one.
Did
That
you
one,
see?
I mean, I'd have to see them all lined up next to each other, but I feel like that one would make top 5.
Someone.
Wow.
Fan art.
Sorry, that's
Oh,
my probation officer forgot to put his phone on. What were you saying?
That art piece was awesome.
That's
did you
several
see the like
probation
Norway
officer jokes that Matt,
cosplay
Brian's made. And you guys told me it's real.
contest, the international ones,
Right,
the
right.
Ford or the Nordic cosplay, whatever.
No.
And this guy did this forward, and he did this whole performance with the eye behind him.
Really?
And
It
stuff.
was legit.
Somebody link me.
Yeah, someone.
Well, we'll retweet it after the show.
Yeah, we'll
goes out.
retweet it.
Yeah,
It's
retweet the shit out of it. I wanna see
amazing.
it.
We woke up to it, but yeah.
I want
just
to know what the hell they're talking about.
like
Someone remind me
doing
of
it
this
for
in the live stream.
What's those called? Cosplay.
For the gram? Oh.
One of those.
Cosplay contest.
Yeah.
Laugh.
But it was
It's a
like
big
the
one.
big
It's a prominent
nationals.
one,
It was like
yeah.
a national contest.
The World Cosplay Summit type of event.
Yes,
It's
yeah.
esque. But yeah,
So it was,
World
it was
Cosplay
epic.
Summit?
that's the thing.
That sounds fun as fuck.
I know, right?
The World
Hey, how do you
Cosplay
be a judge,
Summit.
guys?
Matt goes, that's
My
a real
appearance
thing.
fee is liquor. I'm real easy.
But that Olivia piece, I remember sending it to Travis as soon as it came out because Liam put it in our text thread and Travis' immediate response was just like,
Marisha's making faces and looking. Is she
my
reading questions or something?
God.
Yeah.
Such a good piece.
Every once
I
in a
think
while
she's
when
having
come
her own
across
little
something
side
epic,
conversation
I'll send
or
it to
something.
Liam and I'll be like, "Did you see this? I stopped doing that a while
Yeah,
ago."
no, he's on
Yeah,
top
so
of
it's
it.
like, yeah.
Of course I saw it.
Yeah.
Of course I saw you.
He like
idiot.
slaps you.
Yeah.
Didn't you see this? Ow.
Usually he writes back and says, "How'd you get this number?" Anyway, thank you to everyone who submitted. Congrats to you, Olivia. You have won this
Olivia,
Wormwood Cherry Dice Towers.
great. Isn't that the one that Matt showed on the episode?
Bliss Valley Cartography by Devin Rue, available on Kickstarter right now. Look at how cool is this?
Oh, the dragon cut leather is so
And then
cool.
this epic Devin Rue, we love her. This
Her art's amazing.
look at this, the texture of
Bliss
it.
Valley.
This is.
I'm pretty sure
insane.
Matt Mercer gave
Rachel
away the
has one of
same
these that
exact
they had
one
sent her,
on
and I'm
on
gonna
episode
take it.
31.
Yeah.
It looks beautiful.
Sorry, Olivia.
Yeah.
We have to fight Brian for it now.
Yeah. Olivia's going. This is going to my house tonight. Yeah, isn't this dragon? Oh man.
So good.
I always get worried with
They
buttons
smell so good.
that over time, if you use it a lot, it'll break. I get weird with fasteners in general. Like I have like this really expensive piece of armor kind of thing,
Contest available at
and I'm like, I hope the rivets don't break, because if the rivets break, you're screwed. You gotta get it fixed.
For
It just worries me.
What's
But I dig it. It looks beautiful. I dig it. I want it
The
that way.
gentleman has been a big influence on the story
I
so
own
far,
stuff
but
just
the
like
Mighty
that.
Nine
Multiple
only ever
things.
found out about him because
Not
Beau
dice towers,
decided
like
to
things
steal
wrapped
some
in
mail.
leather with binding
How
and
much
buttons
had you
and stuff.
planned of him at that point, or did you think he would play such an important role?
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
That was the letter from Dimmadon when you guys were leaving Trostenwald.
It is all my fault. That's great.
I had loosely outlined the gentleman as part of the kind of the Underworks faction in Zadash. I didn't think it was going to come into play unless they began to actually seek like a darker element within the city.
Yeah.
It was one of many story threads that I was going to develop if it ever came up. You know, I had kind of a loose outline of you know, whenever I
telling
build
me
the
I'm
city,
running-
I try
oh,
and
it's
build
saying I'm
out the
running out
various
of
factions that
space.
are
Oh,
important there
shit.
and certain key figures
Ready,
that
we're gonna
exist
try
in
to
those
do this
factions
while we
and
watch.
how they feel about the other factions there. So if anyone asks, I can
ready? Here we
improvise the
Rapid fire,
interactions
Jay. Come
with
on, Jay.
them
Come on,
and
Jay, you
their
can do
opinions
it.
on certain matters. So I didn't
gotta
expect the
take
gentleman to
these
become such
files.
a big factor to the
gotta
campaign,
erase
but when you
these
found the
files.
letter, and I was like, okay, well, you picked a letter. I have to go ahead
Work,
and write
good
something
work,
about the
good work.
gentleman. And so I put the kind of
Did
the
I do
code
it?
in there to find him, and then you
Think I
went and
did it.
found him, and then it was like, okay, well, we'll see where this rolls.
I have a question though.
Yeah?
Because I didn't open the mail right away.
Yeah.
I took it, stashed
think
it,
I'm
and
winning.
then I opened it like next session
I'm paying
or
attention,
session
guys.
later.
Don't worry.
If I would have opened it immediately that same session, would you have given me the same information? Or did you take time to prep? Because you gave me
No,
letters
No, I
good.
did.
I
I
think
did.
we're good.
I would have
think I saved the
improvised
day.
something on the spot, and you
It
wouldn't
was
have had
saying we
to
almost
prep
ran out of
probably,
time,
but
and I
you would
had
have
like literally like
a
50
nowhere near
megabytes of
as
space left. I
well
forgot to clear my
presented
hard
bit of
drive.
information.
But it still would have included
You
the
saw on the
gentleman?
fly. I think I
It would
saved
have
the day.
included whoever came up
recording.
within the moment that would have made sense. Which
I
might have been the
literally
gentleman, I don't know.
switched everything
Yeah,
to a
that was
different
one of
hard
those moments
drive.
where
Forgot
you're caught
to
as a DM,
delete it out of
you know,
the
and
folder.
in those scenarios, you would have to just say what made sense in the moment.
Yeah.
And
That's interesting. now.
but because I had the time, I went home and
Yeah.
thought about it. I'm like, who would that letter be by? For the Demodon, it's probably dealing with this, and so it'll be from the gentleman. Sure, because that makes sense with the
hope I
faction he works with.
deleted the right
All right,
stuff.
cool. We'll go forward with that. So
I was not paying attention. I just
Interesting.
He
deleted
looks down
like
at two
30
papers
gigs of
behind
files.
his
I
DM
hope
screen. One says the gentleman, one says the asshole.
Yeah.
One says the asshole.
basically,
Marisha,
Yeah.
Donald Cheeto asks,
well done.
I love this question. Beau was
Donald
disappointed she
Cheeto.
didn't get to kill the archers during her training. Does she often have trouble distinguishing between necessary and unnecessary violence?
That's pretty great.
That's great.
I don't think so. I think it was more like you shot arrows at me,
It's
asshole.
something she did struggle with and slips out sometimes, probably. Like, I imagine
totally
she would
think
be
what
the
she said
type
was normal.
where
In my opinion, I would have done the same
she
thing.
was
You
the
shot
type that she'd,
freaking arrows at me, dude.
kind of thought up in her backstory of where, like, there's an altercation in the back of
This
the
is all I
bar
got left
between
of all
two
my
people who are
beverages.
not her and have nothing to do with her, and, like, as soon as she sees a punch go, she's like,
That's how I
You know
am.
what
See, that's what I
It
mean.
Just like goes for
I'll
it.
be the guy at the
on the
bar
adrenaline
that's
and
totally
just
laid back
being
watching the
beat up
game.
and
The
being
second I
fighting
see
people,
somebody
yeah.
get out of
So
line,
that's
in a
definitely
bad
kind
way,
of her
I don't
thing.
look for
So
fights, but I
think,
see some
yes,
douchebag get loud or out of
yes,
line.
I think she, with maturity and age, she's like,
bully
oh, right,
somebody
but I
or
think in this
many
moment,
times
she was
I've seen
like,
guys
oh,
smack their
cool, let's
girlfriends, shit
go.
like that.
And then-
No.
Yeah.
If I see anybody
This
get
one's from
loud
Matt, but
with
I
a
want
girl
both
or
of you to
even
answer.
touch
It's
her
from Tyler
or somebody
Turner.
bully
What
somebody,
was going through your head during the Jester knock
I'm off the
shenanigans?
stool.
Holy cow. That was hilarious. That's why I was saying that those moments like that take
Cheers.
a
I'm
shocking
finishing
episode and turn it into
my last
some of the
beverage.
funniest like
Here we
one-liners
go.
and
We're
stuff
killing
I
it.
remember
We got
for a
about
long time.
10, 15 minutes left. 15
Which
minutes.
is why I cannot implore players enough, and DMs, if you can allow it, to not play it safe all the time.
Yeah.
Sometimes go out of your way to do weird, interesting shit the character might have the proclivity to do, because it leads to some of the best moments of the game.
Yeah.
It really does, and failure
Some of
can
the
lead to better
best
failure, to better
moments.
consequences, to crazy intensity, and some of the best D&D stories come from players making stupid choices and then failing and then failing and then failing, and like something as simple as like we're gonna go pick up some new armor ends with we gotta go break so and so out of prison.
Yeah.
And I love those
True.
moments. And
We'll
Jester,
talk about
Jester
it.
was pretty
I
close
like
to
it.
having a
Yeah,
key
it's
list,
like
I
you
just got
have
arrested
something
for no
you
reason
can't
moment.
plan for
Yeah.
shit. The way
Well,
this
not for no
game
reason,
goes,
she
you
straight
can
up
have an idea of what you want to do,
vandalized
but
the
you can't
center of
plan
the temple
straight
of
up.
Bahamut.
No
But,
organization.
you know,
No biggie.
with
Even if you try,
multicolors. Bahamut
it's
loves
hard.
being colored multiple colors.
Yeah. I read that about.
Yeah.
Tiamat colors.
That's what I'm saying. Like
Yeah.
going chromatic colors in a Bahamut temple. That doesn't bode well.
Bahamut.
How bad would their punishment?
I
have been if
first
they
saw
had been
Bahamut
Oh,
in.
dude.
I feel like it's Final Fantasy.
Painting.
I feel like there was a
Painting a
Bahamut
Bahamut in
in
a series
Final
of colors
Fantasy
that could be
1,
interpreted
the
as a symbol of
original.
the chromatic
I
dragon.
feel like if it wasn't that, it was one of those
puts you
original
into,
role-playing games from
just
Nintendo.
Immediately for anyone
Maybe
who works
Dragon
for the,
Warrior, but I
for
think
that
it's
particular
Final
temple.
Fantasy.
You're probably a worshiper of Tiamat.
Dragon
the
Warrior,
ultra enemy of Bahamut.
I like better than the
others
original
in
Final
the coin.
Fantasy.
Yeah.
But then Final
God of
Fantasy
the Empire.
got
so
way
sure.
better.
Not even approved God of the
In the-
Empire.
in
That-
the
that-
latter
that's like
years.
that's being of the
Dragon
utmost of
Warrior,
like pious
I doubt.
Vatican, and then saying, "Oh, I worship the devil."
Sure.
You know, like it's
but
real.
The government would have gotten involved, is what I mean.
Oh yeah, no. If they would have wanted to, yeah, the government would have been involved. It would have been bad. It would have been bad. It would have been an interesting, because it was not, because it was Jester. I wasn't too afraid because I knew they had a lot of options, because they are both just slippery, tricky characters.
Yeah. They're lubed up.
But it kept escalating. I was like, oh man,
So good.
let's see where this goes. And the fact that she had just hit level 6 and had that channel divinity, like 6 second
It said I
invisibility
didn't
was
clear some of the files. I was like, is this going to
good.
shut off on me again?
Oh,
We're good.
so
We're good.
Pretty
I got
proud of them both. I love
45
those
gigs
moments.
of space now.
I think it was about time that
I
they
have
had
probably
their
15
respective
terabytes
trip
of
to
hard
the,
drives on this shit.
the
And
medical
I run
facility
out
that
all the
like
time.
Caleb and Ford.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Molly. Yeah, that's
Molly
right.
too.
Oh my
That's right, over
God.
there.
Oh, that whole sequence.
And Knot was there too, yeah.
Molly had smeared like a spectrum of old tavern food in his privates to pass off as
he'd
a
like,
Yes.
he'd like
disease.
like put some of it in his mouth and was
And
like
then
throwing
chewed it up
was,
and
like, pretending to, like, throw up.
regurgitated
Dungeons
it.
and Dragons, ladies
And
and
then put it
gentlemen.
all over his
Dungeons and
junk.
Dragons.
See this
Yes,
sticker
I
on
remember
the-
this very well. To make it look like a
Oh,
venereal
yeah.
disease.
The little scale sticker.
I love it.
I can't see it
Marisha,
good.
We'll squeeze in a couple more here.
Yeah.
Not a couple more Marishas, a couple more questions. Spicy Beau Ritos.
Spicy
boy.
burritos.
Oh,
Oh,
When
that's
Jester,
good.
Yasha, and Ford were captured.
I
Beau
dig that.
referred to them as
Good
part
play
of
on
her
words.
family.
Spicy
And this episode,
burritos.
she behaved in a joking, teasing manner with Caleb. Does this mean she's finally opening up and admitting to herself and others that she has friends?
Yes, I think so. And especially, I think, considering the fact that Ford and the others are also starting to accept it. It gives her permission to accept it a little bit more.
That's interesting.
Yeah, well, kind of that like, yeah, you know, in that, you know, when you were like dating in high school and you're like, no, we're not dating. We're not dating. We're not boyfriend and girlfriend.
Yeah.
Are we? Right? No, we're not. No, we're not. Unless you say we are.
I think that still happens
we, though?
way outside
Because
high
if you
school.
wanna
I feel like
be,
that happened
then, like
5 years ago.
We could do, but like not, but like I don't want to. If you don't want to be, then like I definitely don't want to be.
That's weird.
So it's kind of.
I feel like that still occurs.
It's kind
They
of like
probably,
that, so I think now that, like,
being as they've been in a
Ford kind of
relationship for a while and they're
mentioned a few
married at
things
this
about,
point,
like,
you still do
you
that.
know, sticking together. And
I know many people
hearing
worse
not
than me,
him
and you still do
talking
that, even later in life. That's like a thing.
growing to care.
Because
for
some
these
people are
she's
like,
kind of like
very
oh, cool. And Beau's never had friends that lasted this
unsure
long.
or
So,
not on the surface,
The
like
friendships
explaining
that
themselves
lasted
properly.
longer,
Or
they all
you're,
died like
or me
Molly.
myself. I don't know.
Oh.
What? Danny just wrote that on here.
What? You lie.
It says,
Lies.
make sure to mention this specific thing, and I
And just to put into perspective, when she says friendships that lasted this long, she means like 2.5 months.
dang, really?
And y'all say I'm bringing the sadness.
Yeah, well, somebody has.
You saw Beau when she showed up at the campaign. She's not the kind of person that makes long-term friendships.
yeah.
Yeah, you kind of
No.
sucked at the beginning.
all of Beau's friends were people who worked on the criminal underground who were older than her, who were always passing through the town. So she hung out with them for local jobs that they would pull. She
Yeah.
was like their local hire. Like, you know, when we go to Indianapolis and we hire local, you know, camera guys, she was like that person traveling through.
What
So
a-
she's
what a
only
deep
had
cut.
friends for the weekends that people were in town, and
Yeah.
then they may be like, cool, thanks for helping with the gig, peace, and
Yeah.
then we'll keep
Right,
rolling
yeah.
through.
Yeah.
So those were all, and then sometimes they would come back through, and she'd be like, "Dope, you're back in town, Jane. You want to hang out, Jane? You know, I don't want. Only if you're free, though."
Right.
I think it turned into Jake Peralta for a second there.
Yeah.
I know that name, Jake Peralta. I know
Yeah,
that
I'll
name.
drive. It's not that far. It's only an hour and a half for me. You know, I'll drive to see you.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it was kind of Beau. It was kind
Yeah,
of Beau.
makes sense. Okay, we have time for one more because Max has a date.
Is that true?
No, he's got to
Is
go
she
home
in
and feed his
town?
cats.
Oh.
Cry myself to
He's
sleep.
very happily taken already. So
Yeah.
Cry
I get a lot of
myself to
tweets.
sleep.
I get a lot of tweets. Max is taken, guys. I'm sorry to let you down. We all tried, but something that good has to get snatched up at some
Right.
point, right?
Right?
That's what he told me before the show. With a Brick asks, Matt, what's it like to
With
build the story
a
of
brick.
Jester and the Traveler? How is crafting her story with her deity different than the others you've done for characters in the past?
It's fascinating. I'm loving it.
That
Show
was
me the
one of my
question. I
favorite
want to see how
parts of
it's
this past
spelled.
episode.
Me too, actually.
There it is. With a brick.
Role-playing
2
games,
Ks.
especially
I knew
D&D
there was
and
going to
other
be some
fantasy
sort of.
role-playing games is a very weird thread to maneuver around because you live in a world where essentially gods have proven to exist, divine powers are real. There's proof historically of miracles for the most part in some of these worlds, and depending on which system and which world,
I'm
and which
surprised
theme,
Matt
the gods
Mercer's
can be very
answering
aloof
this.
and
It
distant.
says
They can be
for
very involved in
Marisha,
the way the
for
world is.
Beau.
And so I've built this world to be one in which the gods have essentially decided for the betterment of mankind to be removed, to be outside of that space. Their presence was too
I mean,
dangerous
I'm sure Matt said,
to maintain
"Let me
the life that
dip
they
in
helped
on this
create
or
and
something."
cultivate. So in this campaign, there was the opportunity to show that divinity can exist on multiple scales. You know, there are the prime gods and the prime deities and the betrayer gods and the gods that helped shape the world of its inception and initial creation. And then there are some that are still able to divvy out or be divine entities on a much smaller scale. You get to see essentially what would be gods at the beginning of their worship of this kind of new wave of development. Vesh with Kashaw in the first campaign was very much an example of somebody who worshipped a divine entity but was not considered a god per se. And in the player's handbook and in other various interpretations
I just think it's hilarious how much Matt's talking when this was directed to
divine
Marisha.
powers can be
I want to know
gifted
Marisha's
or
angle.
can be harnessed not always from a direct gift or
I mean, I'm
blessing
into
from
it,
a
though.
god.
I'm
Sometimes
totally
it's
into
about,
it. What he's saying is
a
interesting.
very strong devotion or a creed or a set of philosophies that you feel so invested in that you find this power within yourself to create these miracles.
Wow.
And so I've always wanted to explore those elements. And the Traveler, and the relationship with the Traveler and Jester has been a very unique experience so far, and hopefully for a long time forward to watch an entity that is not as established.
Yeah.
That is.
It's got to be the last
mysterious
question.
And
It's already over an hour.
essentially,
I look in my eyes. I'm like, is that an hour?
slowly beginning to play with the idea of their own divinity and what that means, their responsibility and the relationships with their followers. And because they are their lesser scale and they're not entrapped by the divine gate, they get to have a much more personal relationship with their worshippers, like Veshted with Kasha.
Yeah.
There are other entities like this that exist. in the
Everything
world
Matt
that
just
may or
said
may
was
not play into the
super
story, depending on where
intriguing.
you guys go, but it was.
It didn't
really
answer
exciting
anything to do
take
with the
this
question,
one
and it was
with
directed to
Jester
Marisha.
and
I'm like so
kind of
confused. I might have
see-
missed
see
something,
where
but
it
I
goes
feel
from
like that
here.
was
It's
totally
made-
Marisha's
It's
question.
made for some very interesting scenes and
I'm very intrigued about this relationship.
Me
I'm
too.
so interested to see what the fuck is going on there because
And now I don't even think Marisha can
something,
answer because we ran out of time.
You know, doesn't feel right, but something also does feel right about it. It's
good.
Oh, okay. I was right for once, Danny.
Didn't say
My
you're right. I
intuition-
just said good.
You.
Oh, good. Okay. He's trying to throw us off now, Danny. See what he's doing? He's manipulating us. He's a master storyteller.
True.
Well, guys, as we have done so many nights before on Talks Machina, we are ending the show talking about shit that sounds like Scientology.
I mean, you could say that, but we're also talking about a fantasy world, so I mean,
No, it's I can't help it. The last like 15 seconds that Matt was talking, I thought anyone just clicking on the show right now that doesn't know anything about D&D is like, these motherfuckers are talking about Xeno and shit. You're so right.
he was saying Vesh
Doesn't
and
know
all this
about
stuff. I mean,
Someone
hey,
who sees someone who
Good.
sees a thumbnail of me with my
if
shirt
they
open,
mistook it for that, then we
laid
don't.
back in this chair
I mean,
talking
first
to
off,
an
it might
intense
intrigue
Mac
some
chief,
people.
And then
Second
look
off,
at this. How can you not?
they
and then
weren't
go
part
to
of the crew
Marisha?
anyway, and if they're not
I mean,
interested, it
who's
doesn't
gonna not-
matter.
Well, you could have done a better face than that.
Why do you look like a waif?
Because I'm talking about Scientology.
It's great. It's brought me so many wonderful things.
I'm not being paid to be here.
I promise.
I'm not scared.
I'm not being
God.
paid to marry Tom Cruise.
To all the members of the critter community that happen to be Scientologists, I apologize. Get out.
Yeah. We'll get you Leah
What if
Remini's number.
Scientologists are right? I don't agree with it at all. I've watched many shows on it
Join
just out
our
of
religion instead. It's
curiosity
much
to
more
see
fun.
what it's all about,
Yeah.
but I don't believe in it. But hey,
The traveler is
Wouldn't it be
always
funny?
with you.
We're
Yes.
totally
Xenuth.
reinstating the
Xenuth.
satanic panic of the 80s, by the way,
true.
right now.
That's true.
Come join our religion. This isn't what D&D is
This
about,
one's
and we
way
haven't
more
worked
fun.
30 years to try and get away from that.
That's true.
Fell swoop.
Oh, now we've
love it.
ended talks how we've ended it so many times before, which is setting the D&D movement back 30 years. Thank you for
Good
joining
job,
us,
Brian.
Matt, Marisha. As always, the lovely Danny Carr. Next week,
Max, we're
we'll be
Max.
discussing episode 32,
Yeah.
Critical Role Campaign
I'm jumping
2.
right into it, guys. I'm going to take a break
We love you.
for 5 minutes.
Don't forget to love each other.
Going in.
Don't worry, it's almost Thursday. Stay turned, my friends.
All right, guys, there we go. That is Campaign 2, Episode 31, Talks Machina, a long one. I feel like that is one of the longer ones. They're always around an hour. That was an hour and 5 minutes at least. We're already at the hour and 5 minute mark, and I didn't even talk yet. We got Marisha. We got Matt. I figured Marisha would be on in the sense that she had the best arc of anybody in the last episode. I feel like Ford completely wasted it. I wouldn't have been surprised if we saw Travis on the show just because he had the worst role. And the fact that Matt said, I tried to tell Travis, don't do this because you're not going to have enough time. I said it during the episode, but maybe Travis thought, if I roll superbly, maybe I'll find out enough where I could get an idea of what's going on. But as soon as Matt tells me, this has happened before with other things, and other people have done and gone against what he said and it had bad luck, I feel like. I feel like that was a thing way back in the beginning of the campaign. But when Matt tells you or it gives you an inkling of an idea, like, don't do this. You probably shouldn't do it. And when you do, bad things happen. Now, yes, he could have prevailed. Maybe he could have rolled natural 20s and got some little bit. But even if you got a little bit, it's not enough to make it worthwhile. And Matt's kind of saying, like, yo, I would recommend you don't do this. And then you do it anyway. And he said it right there. He said, I told Travis not to do it. Travis made it sound like he wasn't. And then we're sitting down and he does it. And then it amounted to a whole bunch of nothing. And Matt's like, hey, to each his own. You want to do it? You want to do it. I tried to warn you, and you didn't listen. But Beau had the best of anybody, in my opinion. Gained the most, learned the most, had the most entertaining. And she's on. Matt being there makes sense in the sense that I just said that Ford made bad choices because he explained it better than anybody could. I thought maybe there'd be somebody else, but hey, they make sense. And Travis was on the last one with Laura Bailey. So you never see the same person twice. I don't think we've ever seen the same person twice. There's enough to jump around. Interesting answers. I really dug the fan art of the week. The gift of the week was okay. Not one of my favorites, but fan art of the week might be up there in my top 5. Besides that, Matt got a nice tan. Everyone's happy. We're jumping into episode 32. In 5 minutes, you'll see a different shirt because I'm changing. I'm going to wear my Travis all the sayings with Ford. I'm going to wear that shirt because I feel like we're tapping deep into Ford at this point. You guys want to see more of what I do, full unedited episodes, all the shows on the channel, seasons out of what you're seeing, hundreds of exclusives you'll only see on Patreon. The link is in front of me. Dozens of shows you'll never see on YouTube. I just don't have time to edit it all. Doctor Who, Person of Interest. There's at least an hour of content of Critical Role a week on Patreon exclusively, plus other things. Dozens of other shows. Steven Universe just started. Check it out. If not, comments down below. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.